we define a parabola as a distance from two things. A set of points is a distance from two things. The first is a point called the focus, and the second is a horizontal or vertical line, a straight line called the directrix. So in this case, the directrix is the x-axis, so it's y is equal to 0. Okay? Now, if you look at this point that's on the parabola, everybody else take an easier one. Let's take this point that's on the parabola. How far away is it from the directrix? It's 1 point away, right? 1 unit away. How far away is it from the focus? 1. So it's got the same distance from the directrix as it does from the focus. That's the definition of a parabola. Let's take another one. Let's take 2, 2. See how 2, 2 is 2 units away from the directrix and 2 units away from the focus. If you go to this point, which is 4, 2, 4, 5, this is 4, 5, well, it's 5 units away from the directrix, and it's also going to be, if you do Pythagorean theorem or the distance formula, 5 units away from the focus. And that's true of any point on the parabola. It's going to be the same distance away from the focus as it is from the directrix. That's the definition of a parabola, the set of points that satisfies that condition, that they're the same distance away from the focus and the directrix. So no matter where you are, that's where it'll be. So we're going to need to use the distance formula a little bit. If you remember, if I wanted to take, let's say, for instance, 6, I think that's 10. Let me see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So this point is 6, 10. So if I want to find the distance away from the directrix, so that's easy, it's just the y coordinate, right? So if I do 6, 10, the distance from the directrix is 10. Now the distance from the focus, we're going to have to use the distance formula. Now the focus is at 0, 2. So that distance is going to be the square root of x minus x squared, so 6 minus 0 squared, plus y minus y squared, 10 minus 2 squared. So that's going to be the square root of 36 plus 64, which is the square root of 100, and sure enough, that's 10. Again, the distances match. And that would work for any point on the parabola. So you cool with the definition?
Yeah.
All right. Now, once we know that, we have to actually, I'm going to skip over this for you. You're going to have to actually use the equation of the directrix and the coordinates of the focus and find an equation. So here's what I mean. Consider the parabola whose focus is at 0, 7. Okay. So 0, 7. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's the focus right there. Okay? And the directrix is x is equal to 3. Is y is equal to 3. Can't see it. Let me get that out of the way. Y is equal to 3. So that's going to be there. So there's your directrix right there. Now, I'm going to sketch the parabola in red. The vertex is always right smack in between the focus and the directrix. So you see how you have 4 points from the directrix to the focus? So you go up half of that and you're going to be at the vertex. So this is about what it looks like. Cool? Okay. Now, what you want to do is you want to find the two distances and set them equal to each other. So the distance between an arbitrary point on the parabola, let's call it, we don't know what it is, let's just call it xy. Now you know that the distance from this point to the directrix, let's get this distance first. If I went all the way down to the x-axis, it would be y. That would be the distance, the y coordinate. But it doesn't. It stops 3 units away. So this distance to the directrix is y minus 3. Because if this were 10, that would be 7, right? So you're taking the y coordinate and you're subtracting this piece right here. 3. Now the distance from the focus. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's get that distance. Well, the focus I know is at 0, 7. And we're going to use this as the other point in the distance formula. So it's going to be x minus x squared plus y minus 7 squared. X minus 0 squared plus y minus 7 squared. Cool? Now again, that is the distance to the focus. So we know the distance to our directrix is y minus 3. And we know the distance to our focus from that point is the square root of, is it okay if I just write x squared because it's x minus 0?
Yes.
X squared plus y minus 7 squared. And since it's a parabola, what do we know about those 2 points? Or those 2 distances? So those are, they're the same, the exact same, so I can set them equal to each other.
Okay.
And then you're going to see, you're going to set them equal to each other, and we're going to make a nice equation of a parabola out of it. So we know that y minus 3, which is the distance to the directrix, is the same as the square root of x squared plus y minus 7 squared. Are you starting to see how it's going to take shape into an equation and it's going to be quadratic and all that? So you have a square root, you have to take care of that first. Grouping symbols come first. So I need to square both sides. Okay, just be careful. It's not y squared minus 9, right? It's y minus 3 times y minus 3. So this is going to be y minus 3 times y minus 3, which is y squared minus 6y plus 9. And that's going to be equal to, squaring the square root is x squared plus y minus 7 squared. So far, so good? Okay, now I'm just going to FOIL out this y minus 7. Y squared minus 6y plus 9 is equal to x squared, and I'm just going to FOIL this in my head. Y squared minus 14y plus 49. Now we know that quadratic equations, or parabolas, have this form. Y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. So that means get all the y's on the left, all the x's and numbers on the right. All right, because the only thing you see over here on the left is the y's. So let's go ahead and clean this up and get all the y's on the left-hand side. So each side has a y squared, so I can subtract it and they both go away. Now I'm going to take this 14y, that's got to go to the left-hand side. So I'm going to add 14y to both sides. This positive 9 has to go to the right-hand side. So I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. And then I'm left with negative 6y plus 14y is going to be positive 8y. 9 minus 9 is 0. Then we're going to have x squared. Now, negative 14y, positive 14y, that goes away. And then we're going to have 49 minus 9 is 40. So far, so good?
Yep.
Now, the only things that stop this from becoming in this form, standard form, is that 8. So let's just divide by 8. And you're going to get your answer. It's going to be, I'm just going to move it on over here. It's going to be y is equal to x squared over 8. We could if I do 1/8 x squared. Plus 40 over 8 is the same thing as 5, right? Look at that. There's your equation of your parabola. And you got it from just knowing the directrix and the focus.
Okay.
And that was really the entire day.
Okay.
All right?